1.4.4 has released today. If you haven't downloaded it already, what are you waiting for? To kick off this update, we are going to be talking about the brand new poo block. May the Moonlord save us. Greetings friends, Khaios here. Sick ride, I know. You can get this bad boy by crafting a minecart with a whoopee cushion at an anvil. While thematically related, the fart cart will not be the topic of today's video. We have bigger fish to fry. Ever since Redigit first spoke word of the fabled poo block, we all knew this day would come. I figured you all would pester me until the end of time to make a house using poop. And so I'm just gonna get it out of the way right now, kind of like ripping it off like a band-aid. But before we take a first look at the block of destiny, it is time for a shameless plug. Ad revenue on YouTube is pretty unreliable, and sometimes it can be hard to make ends meet. I don't take any of the sponsorship offers that come my way because I don't want to try and sell you all a product that I don't know, trust, and use myself. So I rely on direct support from my amazing members and patrons. If you are financially comfortable and interested in helping out the channel directly, you could become a channel member by clicking the join button below. You get a badge next to your name and access to my personal emotes as well as access to the private Discord server. Or there are a few other rewards available over on Patreon. There's a link to that in the description below. Or if you want to put a tip directly into my tip jar, as well as leave a comment that stands out from the rest, you can click the thanks button beneath this video. Even if you aren't able to contribute directly, I thank you all very much for supporting my channel just by watching my videos and leaving a nice comment. Really, it does help out a ton. Y'all are amazing. Thank you very much for helping me keep the lights on. So, poo blocks. These are in fact a thing now, and honestly, they're kind of better than I had feared. To obtain them, you need two things: a toilet and a full stomach. Any food buff will do. Simply eat, then sit on the toilet. After a moment, you'll hear a gassy sound and you'll create some poo. The amount of matter you create depends on the type of food you have eaten. Food with a low duration that gives a minor food buff, such as uncooked marshmallows, will only create a single block. The better the food quality and the longer remaining duration, the more blocks you're going to make. The best food in the game, the Golden Delight, will produce a whopping 141 blocks at a time, though that food is incredibly costly and probably not the most efficient form of farming. Aside from being a building block, poo can be crafted into two items. Sorry to disappoint you, but there is no furniture set for it. You can, however, make a wall. But even better than that, you can combine it with some bones and ash to get fertilizer. Now this stuff is truly amazing. If you ever tire of waiting for the slow passage of time for your trees to grow, fertilizer will fix that problem for you. Throw some of it at a sapling to give it a chance to grow up instantly. Trees still do have to meet all of their growing requirements first, however. But what about the block itself? You've been waiting patiently enough for it, or maybe you've been watching in 2x speed. Either way, here it is in all of its glory. At first, I thought that maybe I would be using this with some gray or white paint to create a nice looking stone alternative, kind of like how I do with sandstone. But there are a few issues with that. When you jump on it, it makes a very, peculiar sound. But even more disgusting, simply standing on the block gives you 3 seconds of the stinky debuff, making green gas shoot out from your character, which of course makes sense, you're standing in poop. So this is probably not the best option for a stone alternative, but you may have noticed that's not the only special feature of the block. Tiny flies fade in and out around it, and to be perfectly honest, these guys might be the coolest environmental additions to Terraria, and they are why I am personally going to be using this block a lot more than I was expecting to. You see, the flies generate from a single block a few at a time. Adding more blocks creates more flies. They still spawn even if the block is actuated, and more importantly, they are still visible if the poop is coated with echo coating and turned invisible. This combination is going to be absolutely amazing for making builds feel more alive. Do you want small insects flying around? Just place some poo where you want them, actuate it, and echo coat it, and all you'll see is the bugs. Sure, they might actually be flies, but context is important, and if you place them over a pond, well, suddenly those black specks could be a different bug entirely. I even have this idea where you can use them to hide a very vague message in the background, which can only be read if you pay close attention to what the flies are doing. But for me, one of the first things that I'm going to do with them is just to put some of the flies in my work in progress adventure map right inside of the medieval butcher shop, because it feels like a very fitting ambient detail for an old-fashioned shop like that. And now it is finally time to build the meme house of the year. A house primarily made of, well, poop. Which of course I will try to make look decent, somehow. No promises. All in all, this new poop block was quite the pleasant surprise for me. I was not exactly sure what to expect when I learned of its addition, but now that I've given it a look and learned what it's capable of, I'm rather glad it was added. I might not have found the stone alternative that I was hoping for, but I found something far better. The ambient flies are so good, and they make me wish that other things in Terraria did this as well, such as maybe ambient fish in the ocean, or bees from beehives or honeycomb blocks, perhaps ants from an anthill, or non-catchable fairies from a placeable fairy log, something along those lines. Seriously, I could go on for days with ideas that branch off from these little flies, and I am very eager to see how you all use them in your own builds. And here we have a house that is mostly made out of poop, and I think it doesn't look half bad. Maybe? I thought that a swamp would be a fitting environment given the copious amounts of insects that this build is going to have in it. Leave a comment letting me know what you think of the addition of poo to Terraria. A huge thank you to my biggest supporters for the month: Matt Dragon, Nate Wiley, Hippic3, Duke Samron, and Nick Peasley. And be sure to check out my channel artist MythicalWater, linked in the description below. Thank you all very much for watching. Be back tomorrow with a new video. Until then, happy building.